let's get to work on the new page, which is going to display detailed information about particular playlist. So as I'm going to click on any of those playlist cards, we're about to be redirected to the playlist page. And the identifier of the particular playlist that we have just clicked on has to be shown in the address line. So let's implement this logic. First of all, I'm going to switch over to the repository with the original markup for this project. Here we'll have to grab the markup of the playlist page. I'm not going to copy all this markup since we already have the layout which contains most of those elements. The only thing we need to take from here is this section element within the main element. So let's copy over this section, open up editor, and create new page component. I'm going to create playlist folder first within the pages folder, and in here I'm going to put component which will be responsible to render playlist page. I'm also going to use special notation in the component name, that is these square brackets, which will represent the dynamic segment in the URL of this page. You can choose any name for this segment. I will go with Slack. Alright, let's paste the markup of this page into this component. And now I'm gonna go back to the browser, inspect the playlist card. Just to recall what component is responsible for rendering this card, as you can see, it is called playlist grid item. Now I'm gonna go into this component just to assign proper link to this card, so that when we will click on this card, we will have to be redirected to the playlist page. As always, for all links in the application, we are using Nuxt link component instead of the A element. And this component requires prop2, so let's specify the address of the playlist page. In this case, I have chosen prot here just to test things out, but this segment should be dynamic. And please note that those segments in this address correspond to the directory structure within the pages folder, because we have playlist folder, which is static playlist segment, and within this folder we have page component with dynamic name. So this second segment of the URL of the playlist page will be dynamic Slack. Alright, before checking this in the browser, I'm also going to rename the component which renders list of playlists. Let's call it just index, since we are already within playlists folder, and this index component will be rendered once we're gonna navigate to the /playlists route. Alright, for now let's just check if we'll be able to see playlist page. And to do so, we'll have to make this route active, which also requires dynamic segment. So let's specify any segment in here, press enter, and as you can see, we got the markup of the playlist page, so our navigation has worked. And since we have already modified the links of playlist cards, we can also access this page by clicking on the playlist card. There is also this description of the playlist, which doesn't look as expected, and that is because in the original markup we were using Tailwind CSS plugin called Typography, which provides us with a set of additional classes, in particular those pros classes. So to make those classes work, we're gonna have to install Typography plugin in this project as well. Let's open up GitHub page of this plugin, scroll down, and paste the command to install this npm package. I'm gonna run this command in the terminal, and once installation is finished, let's go back to the browser and copy the following line and paste it into our main CSS file. This way we're gonna include this plugin. We are done with the installation of this plugin. Alright, let's get back to the browser, and sure enough we're seeing that styles of the description are fixed. So now let's break down this page into multiple components. The first component that I'm going to create will be this heading component, which also will contain subheading, and by the way we already have the component to represent this piece of markup. So let's open up playlist page components, and now I'm going to replace all this markup with the component up page header. We can copy the usage of this component from another page, playlist page, and use it on the individual playlist page right here. But of course we'll have to use different values for heading and subheading props. Let's copy over proper values and paste them into each of those props and remove the old markup of the heading and subheading. Next one, I'm going to create additional components to represent other main parts of this page, such as this sidebar as well as main content of the lesson. We have already gone through this process a bunch of times, so I'm not going to stop a lot while doing this. First of all, I'm going to extract markup of the list of lessons, create new component with the name playlist lessons. Then let's add file for this component with the same name and paste just cut markup of the list of lessons in this component. In the same way, I'm also going to create component for the main part of the lesson page. Right here, let's use component playlist lesson. And now let's add file for this component and paste markup in this file. And in the Vue DevTools, we're seeing that our playlist page now consists of three main components: app page header, playlist lessons, and playlist lesson. And by the way, playlist lesson component can also be split by a couple more components. We can move video markup into its own component, as well as lesson description. So let's do that. I'm gonna move into playlist lesson component, find markup of the video player, cut it from here, and use component with the name playlist lesson video. As always, we'll create new file within components folder with the same component name and paste markup of the video player. And as for another component that will contain description of the lesson, I will create playlist lesson content component for it. Add new file within components folder and paste description of the playlist right here. Or actually, it is rather lesson description, not the playlist. As a reminder, whenever after creating new components, something doesn't show up as expected on the page, you might try to restart development server. It helps in a lot of cases. Alright, after restarting server, everything is looking good, and now playlist lesson component consists of two additional components: playlist lesson video and playlist lesson content. The link to the source code of this project will be in the video description.